What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Living in Grand Junction, Colorado. Today, another good one for you. Hopefully a little bit of fun too. We're going to talk about the 6 tips that we've learned over the years, helping hundreds of clients move out here. That'll help you when you're doing your move from out of state. It's stressful when you're moving from out of state. That adds another layer of fun to it, of course. But we're going to talk about those 6 tips right after this, so stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? I'm Robert Hayes, along with my wife Christie. We are the Hayes Home Group right here in gorgeous Grand Junction, Colorado. Got the Colorado River right there. Hey, if you are returning back, thank you so much. If you are brand spanking new to this channel and you just want to know everything about what it's like to work, live, play, eat, sleep, make sure that you hit subscribe, tap the bell. There's another almost 200 videos on this channel to help you get plugged into Grand Junction. We are helping so many people from all over the country move here, and we absolutely love it. So if that's you and you're thinking about moving out this way to these gorgeous surroundings here in Grand Junction, or you have any questions about how to move out here to Grand Junction or anything about Grand Junction, Palisade to the east, Fruita off to the west, make sure that you reach out any way that you know how. That information popping up below. Give us a phone call, shoot us a text, send us an email, even send that darn carrier pigeon. We've got your back days, nights, weekends when moving here to Grand Junction. So for those of you that watch this channel for a bit, you can tell a little raspy voice here. Kind of funny story, getting over a little bit of a cold. No, it's not the Rona. Went to a little weekend trip, flew out of Vegas last weekend. And have you ever had an instance where you knew exactly where you got the cooties and caught a cold? So we're in row 5, Allegiant Airlines. In fact, we did a video about how ridiculously easy it is to fly out of Grand Junction. I think it was voted the best airport in Colorado, and watch that video a couple of weeks ago. You'll understand why. So we're in the terminal, we're seat 5, group 2, get on the airplane, and you kind of know in the terminal, you hear that one lady that's coughing up a storm. You're like, there's no way she's gonna sit close to me on the airplane. Yeah, she was row 6 right behind me. So coughing for an hour. That's, I'm pretty sure, how I got the cold, right? Anyway, so moving from out of state, shoot, moving down the street, it's stressful, right? But you're coming from wherever you're coming from. We're getting a lot of folks from Texas, the East Coast, West Coast. Shoot, we got a call from Australia the other day. That's a stressful move, obviously. So over the years, we've had people just kind of tell us their experience and then our own experience helping clients move out here. Some tips that'll make things a little bit easier for you when you do so. So number 1, the first thing that you really want to consider is if you're selling, and the majority of folks that are coming from out of state, they've got a property to sell where they're coming from. I know Aunt Jenny's got a coworker, and her sister's cousin's friend did a real estate transaction last year, and they're telling you to go ahead and use her. You know what? Don't do that. Make sure that you're getting plugged into a real estate agent where you're coming from that has done this a number of times. They say that the average real estate agent does about 4 transactions a year. And not to brag, but Christie and I are going to do probably 50 or 60 this year. So, you know, puts us in the top 1%, number 1 relocation team in Grand Junction. So that's kind of what you want, where you're coming from. Someone who understands that relocation process and what that's all about, so they can make sure that the title company where you're coming from is in touch with the title company here. They're going to make sure and keep you up to speed on all the dates and deadlines, wiring funds. If that's what you're going to do, make sure that you know how to do those sorts of things. So make sure that you get plugged in with that realtor where you're coming from that's listing your home, that's really plugged in, does this full-time, not part-time. That's super important to make sure that communication going back and forth is just top-notch. So you know, again, it's a big transaction. There's a lot of moving parts, so get plugged in with the right realtor. We actually, Christy and I, have a team of agents that are vetted. We're in a group, and we have been for years, and they are all over the country, and this is what they do on a regular basis. So if you need a little heads up, reach out to us, and we can certainly plug you into a real estate agent where you're coming from that can certainly get you dialed in. Okay, tip number 2, and actually Jeff and Lori, who moved out here from California, might disagree with this, but I don't know, Jeff. Maybe shoot me a text and let me know. Jeff drove his own rig from California all the way here to Grand Junction, Colorado, and I remember meeting them at the house, and I had to basically pry him out of the driver's seat. It was a long drive for him. They did it, but the smart thing that they did was they had 3 dudes waiting at the house to unload that 25-footer that he drove all the way here. So yeah, you can do that, but if you're not looking to drive a moving truck all the way from where you're coming from, maybe you're coming from, you know, New York. You don't want to drive 2,700 miles or whatever it is from New York on your own. Hire professional movers. I know, trust me, I like to save a few bucks whenever I can. When you're doing a out-of-state move here to Grand Junction, don't save a few bucks. Spend the money, get professional movers. They'll wear the booties. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. They'll pack the truck like a Tetris game. They do this for a living. They know how to do it. We actually had a client that I think from Oregon. They hired a company, and I don't know if it was one of those cut rate companies or not, but their truck caught fire coming over the Colorado Rockies. It was really kind of a sad story. She lost half of her belongings. Now, they did with the insurance replace all those belongings, but when you're doing a move that far away, make sure that you hire professionals to do it. You're already stressed out, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. Your list is this long, so make sure that that's one thing that you don't have to worry about. Go ahead and spend the extra few bucks and get professional movers to move all your belongings here to Grand Junction, so you can just, you know, out of sight, out of mind, peace of mind, all those things. Yeah, it might be a couple more $100 than, you know, two college guys or whatever's out there for cut rate budget movers. Pods, they don't have those here in Grand Junction. But if you are going to drive your truck and I shouldn't say load everything, don't load everything, be the driver. That's it. Make sure you have professionals load the truck, and then we can plug you into a couple of folks here that can have some guys meet you at the house and do the unloading, so you don't have to deal with all that madness. So again, spend the extra couple of bucks and hire professional movers. That way you don't have to worry about that when you guys get here. It's actually flowing pretty good today. The other day I was down in Orchard Mesa. Didn't look as good as it does right now. We had some pretty good monsoons over the last couple of weeks, and that might be stemming from that. But so tip number 3, if you're looking to go ahead and get some boxes for moving, which of course you're going to need, the mistake that I made, and I didn't have the luxury in 2007 to have a YouTube channel to give me all these great tips and information about Grand Junction. It was basically over the phone, talking to an agent here, and then yeah, I made a trip out here in person, but I didn't have really any insights on, you know, how to go about all this. So hopefully this channel's been really helpful for you. Where was I at? Okay, so moving boxes. I went down to Home Depot and I loaded up one of those, you know, flatbeds with, I don't know, 100 boxes. Duh, idiot. $3 a box, you know, it's a lot of money.
For light cardboard boxes.
Don't do that. So I know a lot of people are pretty much staying away from Facebook Marketplace these days, especially if you're selling something. So you're going to be on the other end of that. You're not going to be selling something and then you're going to get all these pings on your phone. Is this still available? Is this still available? Yes, it's still available. You're going to come get it or not, and they never show up. So what you're going to do is you're going to go on there and look for free boxes. There's a ton of folks that are going to already have moved, and they don't want to, pack up the truck and go drive it to the recycling center. So they're just going to list them on Facebook Marketplace. That's when you're going to get free boxes, hundreds of them, even the wardrobe boxes. When we moved out here, we did the same thing, put it on Facebook Marketplace. Within 30 minutes, we had a person in front of the house, loaded up all the boxes. That's like gold to people that are moving. So if you're looking for boxes and you need boxes, just go to Facebook Marketplace, type in boxes. There'll at least be one or two that you can grab onto and get yourself a bunch of free boxes. So definitely recommend doing that. Okay, tip number 4. I think we're on number 4. Don't want the fun to stop, save a drop. Not sure what that means.
You had your chance, okay?
So, yeah, tip number 4. You don't have to be here for closing when you go under contract on a home here. So, you really don't need to be thinking about that ahead of time, but just know that if you're concerned about, well, shoot, I've got to sell where I'm coming from, and then I got to time that perfectly to the closing in Grand Junction, and then I got to make sure the movers are going to be there on the same day at the same time. Look, don't stress out about that. I would say probably half of the transactions that we've done, the client has left Grand Junction after we found the property, and they go back to wherever they're coming from, Florida, Minnesota, wherever it is. And our title company here can facilitate what they call a mail-out closing or a notary signing. So basically, you've already found the property here, you're closing on whatever day it is, and the day before, the title company here in Grand Junction is going to have a mobile notary with all of your paperwork meet you at a location or an address in the state that you're coming from, and they'll just overnight the documents back here to the title company. Not a big deal. So again, it's not a requirement that you let us know ahead of time, but maybe be thinking about how you want to strategize that. Do I want to actually be here for closing? Which, we would absolutely love for that to happen. And it does, it does work out a lot of times where we can do that. But if you don't want to worry about being here and coordinating all those moving parts, you don't have to do that. You can close back where you're coming from, and then they'll overnight the documents back here to Grand Junction. You're closed. We'll grab the keys for you, all that good stuff, mailbox keys, whatever else, remotes, all those sorts of things. Then we'll meet you when you get here, so not a big deal. Okay, tip number 5. As I always like to say, marry the house, date the rate. Yeah, interest rates are no longer 2.8% like they were, only 5-6 months ago, right? But historically, interest rates over the last 20-30 years were about 6.5%. Excuse me. So, we're below that. But, to tell you guys that, back in 1971, my folks bought a place and the rate was 17%. That doesn't resonate with you. Maybe you weren't even born in 1971. So I get that. It definitely is, a little bit of a shocker to you. And you're thinking, well, shoot. Now a home that was $450 that I could afford 6 months ago, now I can only afford something about $400. So the flip side of that is this. Back last summer and the summer before that, if you had a home listed for $450, you had 12 people that were putting offers on that home, and that bid up the price to $500. So now you're in a property with negative equity, but hey, you got that great 2.8% interest rate. So today, that $450 property, you can actually get for $450, maybe even $440. So that's the, kind of 6 of one, maybe half dozen of the other. I know it's not exactly equal when it comes to your purchasing power, but again, you can get into a lot more inventory now to look at. You're not going to have 17 people bidding on the same house, and you can actually get it right at list price, maybe even a little bit below. The funny thing is, all the doom and gloom news, Goldman Sachs yesterday just put out a report. I think the headline was, the projection from Goldman Sachs is housing is going to be down again for 2023. Well, no kidding. We were at 36% appreciation year over year. It's got to go down at some point. And then, of course, buried in the very last paragraph of that article, oh, but we do expect homes to appreciate next year. So they're just talking about the activity coming down. Duh, of course it's going to come down. We've been absolutely nuts for the last couple of years. But again, of course, they had to bury in the last paragraph because, you know, who wants to read good news? We expect overall across the country home prices to appreciate still for 2023. And that's certainly the case here in Grand Junction. I think Fortune did an article about 900 and something metropolitan areas in the country. And I think 100 and something they determined might have a stagnant or maybe a 1 to 2% decline in appreciation, and the other 800 and something they still expected to appreciate for next year. So dig into the details on these doom and gloom articles. It's certainly not doom and gloom here in Grand Junction. So marry the house, date the rate. At some point, rates could certainly trickle back down, and if that happens and it makes sense economically for you, refinance, lower the rate, and you're good to go. Over time, that home's going to be something that you're going to enjoy with you or you and your family. That's why you buy a home. Timing the market is super hard. Okay, number 6, probably the most important one, which certainly was the case when I didn't have a YouTube channel to look at about all the different areas of Grand Junction 16 years ago, was you really didn't have back then anyone telling you about all the different areas of town. Yeah, it's only 68,000 people, but it's common knowledge here in Grand Junction that there's 10 areas that you can move into. You've got, you know, Fruita's certainly one, out on the west end of the valley, Palisade to the east, Orchard Mesa to the south, and then in Grand Junction itself, you've got the north, the northeast, the southeast, the Redlands. There's different areas that, depending on your lifestyle and what you're looking for, it's going to be hard to know what's going to be a perfect fit. And that's really where we come in. So when we have that Zoom call or just a phone call, we've actually found some people don't want to jump on a Zoom call. They don't want to fix their hair and, you know, I don't know what it might be, but phone call, Zoom, we'll do them both. We're going to ask you those questions. Okay, you're coming from Houston, Texas. You're ready to be here to Grand Junction. A little lower humidity. It's going to be like 98 degrees today. It's probably going to be about 7% humidity. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. First, what is it? Labor Day weekend, September 2nd, September 3rd, something like that. I'm not sure when we're going to post this video. Where was I? Okay, so you're wanting to know, okay, this is kind of what I'm all about. I want a mountain bike. I want to be close to trails. I want to be below a certain price point, and it doesn't really necessarily matter where I'm at in the valley because I'm working remotely. We need a 3-bed, 2-bath. We've got 2 kiddos, and schools, yeah, kind of important, but it's not the end-all be-all. So based on that, we're already in the back of our minds doing this as long as we have. We're already looking at neighborhoods that might be a perfect fit for you in a specific area. Maybe it's, I'm single, I'm looking up to 650, gotta have the views of the National Monument, gotta be super close to that, and kind of want to be away from the city. We're already plugging in some neighborhoods for you to look at. So that's again where we come in. There's so many different areas to look at here in Grand Junction, all with different feels. Monuments right there. And you spin around, you got the Book Cliffs to the north. It's a totally different vibe. It's kind of, close to the desert off to the north. Monument here, Fruita, mountain biking off to the west. So again, that's one of the main things that we're here to do, is to point you in the right direction based on your lifestyle and what you guys are looking for. So there you go, a few tips on how to move and relocate and take some of that pressure off moving from out of state. We've done it a bunch of times. We'll make it happen. We'll make sure it's a little stress-free for you. But again, that information popping up below. If you're even thinking about moving out this way, or you have any questions about moving out here to Grand Junction, then reach out any way that you know how. Give us a phone call, shoot us a text, send us an email, even send that darn carrier pigeon. We've got your back days, nights, weekends when moving here to Grand Junction. Until the next video, we'll catch you later.